Hi, this is Chat with Dr. Cat, and I'm Dr. Cat. Today we're going to be talking about being out in the wild, some of those things that are maybe a little bit annoying to us. Maybe it's something you do that's annoying that you may not be aware of. This is going to be a part of a series. I've already done one before, and I just think that these are things that are, we need to talk about. So if you have any questions, thoughts around this topic or any other topic, maybe you want to be a guest on the podcast, go to Chat with Dr. Cat, write in your name and email address, or if you prefer to be anonymous and just want to talk about a thought or what you'd want to see on this podcast, you can do it purely anonymously. Sometimes that anonymous feeling gives us that warm blanket of security. So whatever you're comfortable with. Just think about this. This podcast is about no fluff, no judgment, just real talk that leads to real change. Now remember, again, any thoughts or feelings, Chat with Dr. Cat, go on there. Okay, we are going to be talking about some of those things out in the wild. What about when you go to, say, Starbucks or you go to any other coffee shop and you're standing there waiting for your coffee and you're there with maybe, 5 other people, 10 other people, and someone is standing right in front, right at the counter, waiting for their coffee. They've got 10 people behind them, and then they pick up every coffee to see if it's there. Look, I understand. We all want our coffee in the morning. That first taste of coffee in the morning can be so amazing to get that first gulp. But we've got to think about the people around us. Maybe there's someone there waiting for their coffee that is tolerant enough to have the people making their coffee touch their cup, but maybe somebody else, it bothers them. Maybe you're coughing or sneezing and then you're checking each cup of coffee, not allowing other people to get up to the counter. What message are you sending? You're basically sending a message that your coffee is the only one that matters. Your schedule is the only one that matters, that no one else is waiting for that amazing cup of coffee. Stop and think. Are you the one that steps back and waits and maybe gets a little frustrated? Or are you the person that's up there right at the counter waiting for the coffee? Stop. Think. Think about how your behavior affects other people. A lot of times we don't do that. We're outside, we think our schedules are the most important because it's ours. I think my schedule is the most important at this moment because I'm the one living it. When people say, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, well, the world revolves around you. Well, it does revolve around me. My eyes are what I see. So the world, that as I see it, revolves around me. But this is taking it to the next level. This is where you have to stop and think. And I say have to because we want our society to be kinder. We want our world to be better. We want to be treated better. So we have to be better in our world. I think we've all been raised, for the most part, with that golden rule: do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Not everybody wants to be treated the way you want to be treated. Maybe you don't care if other people stand in front of you to get the coffee or whatever else, but other people may. So maybe let's tweak that rule a little bit. Why don't we learn how other people want to be treated and we treat them like that? Because again, not everybody wants to be treated the way you like to be treated. So, in your anticipation for coffee, step back a little bit, let everybody have a chance, try not to touch everybody's coffee, and just be patient. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this is interesting because this one, I got some feedback from a few people, some people I was talking about, and it was about backpacks. Now, when you think about backpacks, okay, everybody wears them on their back, and sometimes they've got a little bit in there, or maybe you're traveling and you're going on a plane or a train or a bus or whatever it is, and you're walking down these narrow aisles. And somebody has a massive backpack. They turn to the right, they turn to the left, smacking people as they go around. I don't know about you, but almost every time I'm sitting on a flight and the line of people are walking onto the flight, there's inevitably somebody with a backpack and they're looking, and maybe they're turning around to see. And either if I'm not careful, I can get smacked in the face by the backpack. You're wearing a backpack. You need to be aware of what's going on with the backpack behind you, because it can hurt somebody physically. Now, I know maybe some of you are like, oh my gosh, it's not that big of a deal. And some other people are like, oh my gosh, that happens to me all the time. Well, your only control is when you wear your backpack. And that's pretty much, look, I can go deeper with this, but your backpack, you've packed your backpack, you know what's in your backpack, you know how big that backpack is. Be considerate and conscientious of other people. Here's another idea. Maybe shift that backpack to the front of your body. So if you have it in the front of your body, you're more aware of how you should move. Again, it's being considerate. Now, my so subtle little underlying thing there is we all carry an emotional backpack. And we're going to have a complete episode on an emotional backpack. But we pack that backpack. We pack it with old feelings, old breakups, fights, friendships, family issues, kid issues, job issues. We carry it. And sometimes we are carrying a 55-pound backpack through our life every day. It's an invisible one, but that's our emotional backpack. Now, when you think about it, when you're carrying a backpack, it's heavy. It's cumbersome. It's heavy. It's heavy. You're weighted down. Now, when you go through maybe a therapeutic process or maybe a coaching experience, you learn how to take and unpack that backpack. We're going to have another episode that is completely on that emotional backpack. But going back to just out in the wild, be aware of your backpack. Just be aware of it. It's just learning how to be considerate of the people around you. Okay, here's another one, because I asked a group of people, what were some of the things out in the wild, out in the community that bug you? PDA, public displays of affection. Now, I weigh a little bit kind of in the middle about this. Some people were saying no PDA at all, like people need to keep their hands to themselves. Other people are saying, do what you want to do. If you're in love, go ahead. Or if you're in a situation where you want to go for it, go for it. Okay, I'm in the middle. This happened to me the other day. I went to a coffee shop and I saw this couple standing there. They had walked in. I was waiting for my coffee, backed up, watching somebody at the counter right in the front. And I look over and I watch this couple, and he had his right hand around her waist, and her hand she had clasped in that hand that was on his waist. Then she took her other hand and she was holding that hand and just stroking it. And they were just talking and waiting in line to get their coffee. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was just beautiful. I don't know their relationship. I don't know if they were married. I don't know if they've been dating for 2 weeks. I don't know if it's been a few months. I have no idea about their relationship. All I know is that when I looked, I thought it was beautiful. I think it's wonderful to show love and affection when appropriate. It was very appropriate in this situation, and they were just kind of being together. I also think it's a good thing for children to see in this level and this amount. I think it's important to know that you can have love, that you can have affection, that this is a relationship maybe you want someday, something that is loving, caring, respectful. I also liked that he put his hand on her back when it was her turn to go up to order. It was just kind of a comfort thing that he was doing. Little chivalrous. which I want to talk about too with chivalry, because that's a lot of what I see out in the open and in the wild. But before I move on to that, let's talk a little bit more about the PDA, the different styles of PDA. Now, when you see somebody and you walk, say, into a coffee shop during the day, you're at a restaurant in the evening, and you see someone completely making out in a booth or at a table. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for people to watch. There's a lot of people looking. Maybe they're giddy. Maybe somebody gets jealous that oh God, I want to be in a relationship like that. Maybe other people are like, wow, that's so inappropriate. Some of those things do need to be kept for yourself. Now, if you're in an environment, maybe, you're in college and you're at a party and, people don't necessarily care, or maybe they're in the same boat as you. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. But when you're out in the wild in a regular restaurant and you have a lot of mixed company, mixed ages from different generations, be respectful. Be respectful. Doesn't mean that you can't have those moments with your significant other, your partner. It just means be appropriate. So I think those are some things that you should think about. Now, again, no PDA, total PDA. Beautiful shades of gray. You're going to hear me say beautiful shades of gray, oh my gosh, all the time, because they're shades of gray. We don't always have to be so black and white in our thinking. Our way doesn't have to be the only way. We can open up, shift a little, but there's going to be certain things in our life that maybe there is no budging with it. Maybe it is a hard standard, and we can look into that. But some other areas, let's look into the shades of gray. Maybe there are areas that we haven't thought about. Let's talk a little bit now, chivalry. For a while there, I really saw chivalry dying. I just saw it completely dying. Not necessarily in my household. I like chivalry. I'm also a firm believer in being a powerful, independent, free-thinking female. That's who I am. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm all of those different things. I'm also powerful, but I like the door being open for me. I do like it. And there's a level of power that comes with that a lot of times I think women don't think about necessarily, is that when we're allowing somebody to open the door for us, we're letting them know that we're appreciative of what they're doing and that we're deserving of that moment. It's powerful. It doesn't have to be all chivalry or no chivalry. Again, chivalry can be in the middle, gray areas. Now, I'm seeing a shift. I'm seeing a shift in society where we're seeing more chivalry. How do I see it? I see it in the adolescents. Adolescents and young adults, they're bringing it back. Some people I work with or my own kids and what I'm hearing from their friends. The other day, I was talking to one of my daughter's friends, and she was telling me about how this guy she's dating, was telling her that he had to watch his money. They're all in college, and they had to watch the money. And she said, well, I was going to buy these tickets to go see, as a concert. And he says, oh, I feel much better if I pay for the tickets. I just feel better that I pay for our tickets and I pay for dinner. I have to watch funds, but let's see what we can do. And her response was, well, I can pay for the tickets this time. And he said, it's just really important for me, for you to know how much I care about you. And I do that by showing you that I can take you out to dinner or I can take you to a concert. They had a real conversation. I was really impressed. And it was all around chivalry and actually the power within the relationship. He said this is something that he wanted, and she wanted to make it clear that sometimes she's going to step up, she is going to pay for things because she doesn't want to miss out on certain things, and that they're a team. Love this. Great communication. Absolute great communication. Chivalry is important in our society. It balances out things and it comes back to having great manners. Showing respect and kindness and appropriateness, I think, is important. I think it's really important. I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again. I took a tour at a college in a southern state. I did not open one single door while I was on that trip. Every door was opened up for me. And it didn't have to be a big display. Sometimes it was people that were in conversation. They just leaned over and opened the door. I thought it was polite. I thought it was nice. I found myself wanting to pay it back, being very kind to other people that I saw. I loved saying good morning to people walking to grab a coffee. Loved it. Good morning. Good morning. Have a wonderful day. It was so kind and so wonderful. And sometimes I think, again, we're rushing. We're going too fast. This is what we see out in the wild. It's too much. Let's slow down a little bit, even in our busy schedule. Have a quick good morning every day. See somebody. Maybe it's somebody in your office. Maybe it's the neighbor across the street. Maybe it's somebody down the hall from you, somebody at work. Because that one little hello could make a difference in somebody's life. Now, I know sometimes people will say, well, it's just a hello. We don't know what's going on in people's lives. We don't know what's going on at home. We don't know what happened last night. That little ounce of kindness, that hello, opening the door, holding a door open. I always hold doors open. Always. It's just something I like to do. And a lot of times people will run up and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's just an interaction of kindness. I think it's important. We've got so much going on in our world right now where there's hate, speculation of hate, all those different things going on. A lot of controversy in our government, everywhere in our world. Sometimes the kindness, the day-to-day kindness can get us through those frustrations, those fears, the anxiety, the uncertainties in life. A hello can make a difference. So I'm going to challenge you. I challenge myself every day. Do something kind for somebody every day. Now, it doesn't have to be big. Again, it could be that hello. Maybe you want to buy somebody's coffee in line when you're grabbing coffee. Maybe you want to just say to somebody, wow, you look beautiful. I know you've heard me in another episode talk about that. It's important to say to somebody, wow, you look beautiful today. Or I love your hair, your beautiful eyes. Wow, great suit. Oh, I love your shoes. It's showing somebody that you're taking the time to see them. Oftentimes we're too invisible to be seen by other people. So these are some things that you can do in the wild. Now here's another thing. I find it interesting when people tell me that they don't notice nature. They don't notice specific trees, or they don't notice when seasons are changing. And look, I'm in California. It is not that crazy obvious of seasons changing. One day in December, we could have a day that's, 58 degrees and the next day it's 85. I get it. Taking notice of nature. That could be another way that you can interact with people in the wild. You never know. Okay, let's get back on. This is going to be my last one for today. When women have bags, now this is not the backpack, but women who have huge bags, huge purses, and they go to swing it onto their arm and they take out two people in the back. We need to be careful. We need to be considerate. Taking note of what we're doing. Taking note of people around us. Letting people know that we are not the only ones on the planet. be kind. That's really my theme with these out in the wild. And I'm going to keep doing these because I think they're important, because there's these little things that we don't think about. Before I had referenced in another podcast about cap off the toothpaste, there's little situations like that. Being aware of our actions and how they can directly affect another person. Something that we see as something small and trivial could be huge to somebody else. Could be huge to somebody else. You know what? I'm going to add one more. And there is going to be another one about black top moms. Now, what I call black top moms are moms that are maybe at an elementary school and they're talking after the kids have gone in, and they're all standing around on the black top and they're talking. And sometimes they exclude. They have their group, they're meeting with their group, they're talking and everything else. Sometimes another mom or a dad had a really rough night, maybe a rough morning, and they just needed kindness. They just needed, hey, come on, we're talking about such and such that's coming up, or hey, we're watching this program. Hey, come on in and talk. Or hey, have a great day. Any of those things can encourage another person to get out of their world that may not be great. Maybe that person doesn't have something horrible going on at home. Maybe lacks a little self-esteem. Maybe has problems stepping out of their comfort zone and making friends. Maybe they just think that you don't want them to be involved, so they pass by. Take a moment. Be aware. Remember, I talked about those floodgates when they open up and you have kids. Parents are extra sensitive because they're loving and feeling more than they've ever loved before. Take a moment. Be kind to another parent. Give them a smile, a hello. Hey, are you going to be going to this event? There's a group of moms. We're all getting together. Oh, I hear there's a book club. Maybe it's a mom who's a working mom that just wants to be involved in certain things. Figure something out. Maybe there's something they could take home. Maybe there's something they could put together on the computer. There's a job, there's a role for everybody. Try to be as inclusive as you can. It makes the world of difference to people. And again, it starts with kindness. This is Chat with Dr. Kat. I'm Dr. Kat. Remember, if you have any questions, thoughts, feelings, responses, ideas, or you want to be on the podcast, go into the section, write your name and email. Let me know. Now, if it's just a comment or a thought, you can be doing it anonymously. Have a wonderful day.